All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Hello, ladies. Happy
Hello.
Monday.
Happy
Happy Monday.
Monday.
How is everyone doing? To all of you who are tuning in tonight, this is the Woman to Woman show. We are so excited to be here tonight. It is what, March 25th.
It
Can you
is.
believe it? Right? We are about to end the first quarter of the year. And so
Mhm.
we are Women to Women on the New You Nation Network. This is a network that is created to provide positive content to grown folk. We
Yes.
welcome everybody, but we really are trying to reach, the mature minded individual who is wants to hear some positive content and information. And so we are going to start as we normally do by going around and introducing ourselves and saying what we are grateful for. And so my name is Theodora Carter. I am a certified coach and also an HR consultant. And I am passionate about helping women live the life they desire to live and small businesses manage their HR, right, processes, right, in an economical way. And I am grateful to be here. I am grateful for that it is March 25th and I made it another day, right? I am grateful that God willing, I will turn 58 next month. I am grateful.
Woo!
And so I am grateful, and I'm grateful for these wonderful sisters that are here with me tonight. And I am going to pass the torch over to Netta.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Manetta Fields. I am the owner of Holistically Motivated LLC, where we take tips, strategies, and solutions and pass them along to you using the gifts of the earth. Because I'm of the mindset anything God made is good. So that's what we choose to go to first. I'm also a certified coach using the Gallup Strengths, and just here to enjoy a conversation tonight, helping at least the one, right? And I am grateful. I'm going to say I'm grateful because I'm going to make it through this. I'm grateful that I have enrolled in yet another certification program.
Yay! Yay!
Because I see a need, I see so many hurting women, and it's called an essential emotions coach. So I will
Oh,
use another avenue to support us as women to be our healthiest selves so we can serve from the best place.
I love that. I love that.
beautiful. Okay.
And you're tossing it to who?
I'm tossing it to Gina.
Hello, y'all. I am known for a lot of folks as Chef Regina, and I also have RHN Unlimited, where we help young children and families find their voices and to be seen for the beauty they were created. So I am passionate about our young folks. I am passionate about our families really being able to work and help their children be their best versions of themselves. And
Mm,
I'm also passionate about food and cooking with love, serving with love, and getting as natural as possible, getting away from the store bought stuff. That's why I like to teach folks how to cook because when you can do it with your two hands, it tastes great and it's less stuff out there that you don't know. So anyway, what I am grateful for today is last week I took my ServSafe. I renewed my ServSafe food handlers license certificate, and I'm also taking an allergen uh, certificate program because there's so many different allergies now. And I
Yes.
said
mm.
I wanted to be in the next phase, not just knowing how to serve food, but also understanding and appreciating that people have different allergies and what to look out for. So it helps me be better at what I do in the food space. So I'm grateful for having the opportunity to do that and serve better.
Nice.
Hmm.
And
So,
last but not least,
Sheila.
Good evening. My name is Regina Booker, the owner of Seasoned and Fabulous, and which is women over 50 to it's never too late to start your journey, whatever it might be. Um, whether start your new business, whatever you want to be, travel, start a new career, it's just not too late. And we will be having our first retreat April 27th. Yes.
Yay!
So happy for that. And I am grateful for another year around the sun. I celebrated a birthday this last week. So I am grateful for that.
Wow. So I'm excited because I was like, okay, we are continuing our discussion, right, that we started earlier this month about, just women who have empowered us, right, and have, inspired us. And I get on here and hear Netta going for another certification. I want to hear a little bit. I want to hear more about that. Gina getting her self-serve, right? Regina doing her retreat. So I feel like this is a conversation right here, right, about how we as women of a certain age, right, are still thriving and contributing to society in a way that we are impacting other women, right?
Mhm. Yes.
So now talk a little bit about the emotional.
The coaching is called Essential Emotions Coaching Certification. And I think once you reach a certain age, you have experience in what you wish you had or wish were available for you in certain seasons or spaces in life. And so that leads the heart, at least for me, it does.
Mm-hmm.
That empathy is something that's real, feeling the feelings of others and wanting to serve from that place to help. There's so many people hurting and don't really know how to work through what they're feeling or even give what they're feeling a voice. What is this? Where a woman shows up and she's short, short tempered, short fused. Nobody can do anything right. There's a root to that. So just getting to the understanding of where that started, why it started, and having natural solutions to help work through that through conversation as well as tools. Just you can rewire how you're thinking about something. You can change how you're responding and how you're showing up. You just need the tools to do it. And sometimes it's a matter of releasing. And so the brain literally responds. God placed emotional components in every plant he made. So let's say, for instance, we talk about lavender, right? People know, oh, lavender is calming. Well, that's an emotion. You having a response. And lavender helps that brain to come out of that flight or fight and just kind of calm down and relax. Every plant has that ability. And so your brain, the sense of smell, when you pull that into the brain, the neurological system can actually respond in a different way. So we're going to take the conversation piece, the openness and understanding, and pair it with a specific tool to help people through and get to the positive outcome they're looking for.
Yeah. And like, how amazing is that, right? Because like you said, there are so many women that are struggling with something, right? Not being where they want to be, or, feeling like it's too late to do something. I think the great thing about all of us is, right, like we basically demonstrate that it's never too late, right? Like I started my business, and it's great. It's funny because I was just talking to one of my best friends, right? She's like a sister, and she was like, you were saying 15 years ago how you wanted to run your own business, right? And so I didn't really get started until I was like, 51, 52, right? And I could have told myself that it's too late.
Right.
I could have talked myself out of it.
Right.
And it's great that, not only it's not too late, but also there are so many tools out there that can help, right? Because I think part of it also is not being in a space of knowing how to, practice self-care,
Right.
or shift your mindset, right? I'm big on mindset shift, right?
Mhm.
And so I just think it's great that, there is an essential emotional coach,
Yes.
right?
And I want to say really quickly, I am not in any way saying there's not need for therapists or other mental health professionals. This is just another layer to support the process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and I think that's important for people to understand, right? That although we're coaches, we're going to tell you right up front, we're not therapists.
Right.
So in most cases, you're probably going to be working alongside it. I know when I was doing coaching, I was working with a therapist and a coach at the
Mhm.
same time, right?
Yeah.
So Gina, Regina,
Yeah.
tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about, how you feel like you are giving back, contributing to, and like you just said, something that was powerful, right? Young women, helping them be the best that they can be.
So I guess that's been a lifelong passion of mine, in the careers that I've chosen, working with nonprofit like Dress for Success, helping women worldwide. That was something that I could buy into because we were helping women transition from one state of life to another and their families. But I've always had an extra passion for our children because sometimes when we're frustrated, when we're parents and stuff, not that we don't love our children, but sometimes they can be rambunctious or they can be extra quiet or you could just feel like why they so secretive or they ask a lot of questions when you're tired and you don't want to answer questions and you could be the auntie the godmommy and they're just that active, right? But
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that got me really continuing in that space of being passionate for our young women and our children is that when I had my children in um, Highbridge Nursery, which was a I guess daycare school for
Mm-hmm.
under 5, right? This director, her name is Veronica Thompson, and since this is Women's History Month, and we're honoring the women in our lives that have impacted us, um, I was the mom with 4 children, all of them 5 and under. Like, no, I had 3, and then I had another one. So, right? So
It felt
that's
like
what
5.
happened. Yeah, fella. I had 3. Then later on I had Naomi, my last one. But this director, her name is Veronica Thompson. She was the director of Highbridge Nursery in the Bronx. And this woman was passionate about informing parents of their rights and how important it is for them to stay engaged when their children leave that program and go to the first grade, that they stay actively engaged and that they work in partnership with the teachers. And she always said that you have a right to be in the schools where your children are going to school and do not just call at the last minute when something is wrong, but be present for the whole process of what your children are going through. And that has stayed with me for throughout their whole educational experience, even up to college. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank her because not only did she help me refocus my understanding of the relationship that parents should have with teachers, which is collaboration and partnership, right? We don't pass the children off to the teachers and that's it. It's a partnership. You are continuing to reinforce, hopefully, what I'm doing at home. And I am looking at what you're providing my children in education and doing my best to support them and meeting those requirements. So it's a partnership. And when I look at some of our children now, they so much need their parents to understand that they are valued, they are important, and they are needed in their children's lives to take that role and they don't have to step back and shy away because the teacher's in the room. No, you're the first teacher. You're their parent. You are the one that has the secret sauce to help your children live their best into their best self. So I'm thankful for Miss Veronica Thompson because she helped me in that space And so that's something I've always been passionate about, working in the nursery in my church for over 15 years with
Wow.
tons of children. It's just, if I think it's, we always say, oh, this generation, this generation. Well, have you talked to this generation? So,
Mm.
so instead of talking about what they don't like, they're not wearing this or they dressing like that. Have you ever taken the time with one of those children or one of those young adults and say something nice and just say something loving and then take the time to instruct or provide some positive feedback instead of always talking about they wearing this too much, or they showing this or they not. Well, did you do something to help? I don't want to say if not, shut up, because that's not nice. But what I am going to say is, if you're not going to be a positive deposit, don't be a critic all the time. Don't be a salty Sarah. I'm just saying. Okay, so that's what I'm thankful for. Okay,
but
Regina,
I
yes,
mean, but that's so important, right? Like, I mean, that's why we're having this conversation, right? Because
right,
in order for there to be change,
yes,
we have to be a positive deposit, right? Because there's this myth that women don't get along, right? There's this myth, right, that
right,
we can't really be one and be together. But there's so much work that needs to get done if
yes,
we only focus, but we need to focus on the right thing, and that's making positive deposits into
yes,
other people, young
yes,
and old.
For
Right?
sure. I just want to add, being the mother of a young woman, watching her grow up and noticing how some people who had not earned the right to speak into her life would attempt to do so.
mm,
Mm.
So with young adults, what I found, just me,
hmm,
you can't show up and the first thing you want to do is have a dominant role and say so into their
right,
lives when you've not even participated in their growth. You've not participated and shown up when it mattered. You've not poured positively, as Gina said. You've done none of those things. So,
right.
what makes you think they're open to receive any type of correction or criticism from someone who hasn't shown them that they matter?
Or from someone who hasn't taken the time to get to know them.
That's what I mean. They don't even know that. How do you don't even know my name? Did you? I didn't realize you knew my name. But now you want to say something to me, in the way of correction. Now, guidance is important, but so
Yes,
is nurturing.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And I mean, to your point, Netta, and I'll leave and I'll pass it with my granddaughter, Geneva. There's times when there's discipline is necessary, but I reinforce the love that I see. I reinforce her intelligence and her ability to do a thing. So instead of yelling at her and giving her the high hand, because I can type of behavior, I talk to her and I ask her to think a thing through. So I'm like, okay, so first you said this, but now that we're talking, how do you feel about that? Right? So you gotta have. I mean, sometimes there's the line, and you say, okay, this is what it is. But when there's opportunity to have a conversation, you want them to think. We don't want our children to be yes, ma'am, yes, yes, sir, without thinking. We want their mind to be able to creatively process a proper response. But if we're always telling them this is what it is and this is what it isn't, instead of guiding them to what makes the best option, then how can they be as productive as they need to be if they're always looking for someone to say this is what it is and this is what it's not? So I take the time to guide her through a thing, and then she's like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. And I know sometimes she's not going to get, she's only 8. But the thing is, I want her to start thinking that you can think, you can process. Let me hear what your thoughts are so then I can help you with it. But don't just tell me I can't, or let's talk about it. Let's talk it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important, like Netta said, to speak into whether they're 8, 18, 28, 38. If you can offer something positive instead of the critique, then they're more open to say, "Oh, I get you now. Okay, you're not coming at me. You actually want to support and coming to me, saying, you could do this a little better for yourself, right?"
Yeah.
So
And
I'm gonna
I
pass it, Mike.
I think that's so great, right? Because we're talking about, you know, impacting younger women, right? But then we got Regina over here, right, who is impacting seasoned women, right? And which we sometimes forget, right? So there's that, you know, we got those individuals that we're trying to raise up, and then we got those individuals that, you know what, we're seasoned, and in some cases, people are thinking that means that we should be forgotten about, but that's not the case, right? So Regina, talk a little bit about your, you know, the impact that you are having on women who are seasoned.
Well, the women that are seasoned that I run into, they're more stuck.
Mm.
Um, they've done their career, they raised their family, their kids are grown, maybe their grandkids, and they kind of don't know what else to do.
Mm.
So I won't say they feel that their life is over, but they just kind of just are sitting, if that's a so when they see me, and I've had many women say this to me, well, how do you do this? How do you keep moving? Or how do you keep going? Or how do you keep volunteering for this, or traveling, or starting a business, or just several things that I do? Or uh, I've had many parties in my, like little circles, sister circles in my home, and
Mm.
things like that. And where do you get the gumption or the tenacity to do it? Because life is still life, and I still have life, and so do you. Find something that makes you happy.
Mm.
And trust me, it will make you happy. And you guys all know how I love to walk. And when I'm walking, I get the most downloads from God. And that's my peaceful place. That is my most peaceful place. God talks to me. Or sometimes I just be in his presence, and that's my joy. And and it makes me so happy. It uplifts me. It gives me energy. It makes me to want to continue. And I know, because I'm on this earth and I'm here for a purpose, and my work is not done because I'm still living. And that's what I tell women, your work is not done because you're still here. Because if your work was done, you wouldn't be here. So still go after your passion no matter what. You get your passion at 90 and still live to be
Mm.
10 more years. So I encourage them that way.
Yeah, I always think about um, Judge Judy. There's this clip of her talking about, I don't know if any of you have seen it, right? Where she's talking about, she's being interviewed, and she's just talking about how, you know, everything you just said, right? Find something that when you get out of the bed, right, you're excited about. But then she goes on to say, right, it doesn't matter how old you are. And then she talks about this 80-year-old woman who started painting, right, at 80, right? And so I will honestly say, like, my aunt turned 96 yesterday. And so, you know, I had called her yesterday, but I was like, I know she's out and about doing whatever. But today when I talked to my cousin, he was like, well, you know, she's bowling. He was like, so when she comes back, she's gonna call, and I know she's gonna call everybody that left her a message yesterday, right? But at 96, she's
Hmm.
still bowling in a league, right? That's something that she loves to do. She also, like, you know, goes to the food. And mind you, I can't even tell you how long she's probably been retired, right? Because she retired long ago, probably even before she was retirement age. But she goes to the food pantry, at least she used to, right, to help pack food, right? And so it really is finding that thing that you enjoy doing,
Hmm.
right? That thing that makes you feel good because you're either helping somebody else or you are feeding somebody else's soul.
Hmm. And
Right?
also along the way, you can find other things. Like I said, I had to find a solution to this problem. It really wasn't a problem. It was basically, I love Pilates. and I love yoga. So I'm trying to find a studio that don't cost a lot of money. So there's the Pilates club or something. They have the reformer there. So it's one down, just open up down the street. So I went to take the class. I said, okay, I know it's expensive, but usually they're gonna have a introduction price.
Mhm.
So I said I could probably get the introduction price, and after that you just do it for whatever. And I knew it was 3 months because I've researched it. So I said I'll do the introduction price for 3 months. So I'm all excited because I thought the lady said $159 for 3 months, and I said it's a little steep, but you know what? 3 months, $159. In essence, she said $159 every month for 3 months.
Oh,
That is not in my budget. So, as I was 3 o'clock in the morning, God wakes you up. Hey, how about adding on to seasoned women like me? Because stretching is very important. How about looking for a grant, writing a grant
mm.
to get a place to have a Pilates or yoga?
Yeah, that's how things come about.
But
Mhm.
that's
That's a
the
great
thing, right?
idea.
Mhm.
I mean, it's actually, thinking outside of the box, but
Mhm.
it's also the power of yes,
Mhm.
right? Just as much as people talk about, being able to say no, and no is a one letter word, right? Yeah, we do need to set boundaries, and there are certain
Mhm.
things that we need to say no to, but we also need to learn how to say yes, right? I think
Mhm.
so many of us get in our head that it's, we're too old, or it's
Mhm.
too late, or we can't do it, right? And that power of yes,
Mhm.
right, opens so many doors, and it feeds you because it's something that you're interested in, right? Like it's
Mhm.
something that you love to do, and I'm sure
Mhm.
there's other people out there that love to do it.
So it opens up a door,
Yeah,
and it aligns with what I'm doing. Because
yeah.
my ultimate goal, which I've always wanted, is to have a women's resource center with all types of things.
Mm.
So that could go in there as well. Like that is like my biggest dream, is to have a resource center for women.
Wow.
It's not necessarily for seasoned women. That's always just been just
Yeah.
a resource center.
Mhm.
Just different things in there. So
And so, in conversation, maybe one of the things we could do just individually, having a small impact, is asking people who could be doing more. They're just home all day or what have you. What do you enjoy doing? What makes you happy? What
Mhm.
Mhm.
fuels your day? What makes you want to get going? And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who've never thought that through.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, just conversation.
Mhm.
And we're talking about celebrating the women in our lives, those that have impacted us, and how do we let them know that they've impacted us if they're still here. That's one way we can give back, is
Mhm.
encouraging them to live full.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, and I love that. And for those of you who are just joining us, this is a Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. Tonight, we're just continuing a conversation that we started 2 weeks ago about, just women, right? Because this is Women's History Month, right? And so, right now we're just talking about how can we, right, one, honor those who have impacted us in our lives, but also how we give back, right? And I think it's so true that we sometimes forget that just having a conversation with someone,
Mhm.
right, can help them. It can ignite, right,
Right.
somebody's fire, right? It could remind them of something that they are passionate about, or they used to dream about, or think about, right? It really is amazing that we get to a certain age and we automatically tell ourselves that we can't do something. But your mind is a powerful thing, which is why I'm so like into mindset, right? Like, and I've done it, right? Like I'm training my mind. I'm still doing it, training my mind to think positively, right? 98 to 99% of the time. I'm trying to get to the point where, I can take a negative thought and twist it, right? Because your mind is so powerful. So what you tell it, right, is what you're going to end up doing. And so you can limit yourself by what you believe.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, okay, let's take it back to the top.
Mm-hmm.
When Trey came to us and said, you're going to do a show and I'm not going to be there.
Right.
Oh, no.
All of us, if I recall, like, you must be kidding me.
Right.
I barely got on here when you were
Right.
And to see now that we're able to converse and share our thoughts without y'all just being real, without getting up and having your shirt soaking wet because you're just so nervous, you sweated through everything. I mean, to go from there to here, we had the evidence that what God has graced us with, the gifts that He placed in each of us, is enough.
Yes.
And I am going to honor Him with every one of the gifts He gave me as best I know how. And I think part of that is remembering and having grace for the people who haven't arrived at that thought process yet. And not being hypercritical of them, or they should, and they should. We have a bunch of shoulds that we could throw out there. But again, back to what Gina was saying in regards to nurturing her granddaughter. Guess what, y'all? It doesn't stop at a particular age.
No.
Life experiences can shut a person down. And all they need is for somebody to believe for them until they can believe for themselves. And so just conversation, taking the time, and if one more person tells me they're busy, I'm gonna scream. We are all busy, but we're busy with what we've chosen to be busy with.
Right.
So can we just take that off the table and remember our why? Why do you show up each day, and who has God placed on your heart and mind that needs you to reach out to them? We all have those people that run through our minds or settle on our hearts. Did you do something with it?
Right.
We have a responsibility as women. We're constantly pouring. That's true. But if you pour, you're not going to pour out. Somebody's going to pour back into you.
Right.
You just have to show up that way, not with what you can get out of it, but how can you be a blessing to someone else? And when you look outside yourself, that mindset shifts.
Yeah.
And it's so true. I just had this conversation with a girlfriend, right? Like just true transparency. And I had to own it. Like she was like, yo, what's going on? I was like, listen, I don't have an excuse. I'm not going to make an excuse. I'm going to apologize to you, right? Because like you said, you should never be too busy, right, to reach out to someone, right? And I know me, I could get laser focused, I could, whatever. But I think it's so true because it's just having those conversations, right, with people, and even more so with people that you don't know, right? And that's why I will run it. I will see somebody in the street. If they say hi to me, I'm going to say hello. I will say hi to people that I don't know, because you know what? You never know how just saying hi to someone, right, that's not having a great day is going to change their day, right?
That's
exactly. And I also tend to be the person that people want to tell I'm like, I don't know why this person decided that they want to come and talk to me and tell me everything. But I also will stop and listen, right? And even if I don't have anything to say, because sometimes people just need to unload, right? And there are times when I'll just say to someone, can I pray for you?
Yep.
right? Because, sometimes people just need that. But also, people need to know that there are people out there that see them and hear them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And encourage them. And sometimes we encourage people by what we do. Because like you said, Netta, when Trey was like, I was like for real? Right. And then, like I said a couple of weeks ago, they wanted to spotlight me at church, right? You guys know I am not the person that wants to be in front of a camera and whatever. And I said, okay, I did it. And it was amazing. The following Sunday, I went in and people were like, oh my God, we watched the video. It was so, and then I was like, you know what? I could have said no to that and not had the opportunity to share something that resonated with someone else.
Honestly,
and that's why
you're about you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why your yes is so powerful, because normally when you say yes to something that you're apprehensive about, it's because it's not really about you.
Right.
Right.
So true.
Woo, okay.
So
For a second.
I mean, we talking tonight about celebrating women for Women History Month, but honestly, we gonna celebrate women all year long, right?
Yeah.
Because we should be celebrated every day. But tonight we're just talking about the women who have impacted our lives and what we're trying to do to impact other women's lives. Just even if it's just a little bit. Like we always say, even if it's just the one person, right? We've made a difference. And so for those of you who are joining us, this is a Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. We're excited that you're here with us. We're just some sister friends that come together on Monday nights to talk, right, about grown folk stuff. And tonight we're just talking about women and how fabulous and amazing we all are. All of us, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So, in regards to impact, I think one of the parts of the conversation we haven't touched yet is sharing an experience that impacted you, another woman's whose life or words or an experience. Like I said, how did it impact you and what was that like? Because we can all glean so much from our experiences and the stories that we share in hopes that lesson is paid forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will share Reverend Sheila Gibson, who is, God called her home, one of his servants, minister at First Baptist Church at Lincoln Gardens. And I remember I probably had just started at First Baptist, and I took a Bible study class with her called Prayers of the Heart. Right. And I will tell you, I was always that person. I'm not praying out loud. I'm not, whatever. And after this class, right, which was so amazing, I still have the book, right? It just for me really made an impact in the way I thought about having conversations with God. Right. It moved me to a place where now, when in a lot of places, especially around my family, is always T, pray, right? My family calls me T, right? Or if someone asks me to pray, right? I'm not hesitant to do it because it just really woke up into me the fact that talking to God is like just talking to you, right? Or talking to Regina, right? Or just talking to you guys, where I'm just sharing my heart. Right. And so that was impactful for me. There's so many women. There's call her Mom Debo. And I think you guys know, right? This amazing woman who, when I first met her, I would have never known that she was waiting for a kidney, like a transplant, right? Because of the way she carried herself and how faithful she was, right? My grandmother, who, oh my God, loved the Lord. Like if she would have had one more conversation about going home to the Lord, I'd be, grandma, do we have to talk about this? And she lived to be 99. The year she passed, she would have been 100, right? But that foundation, right, came from her. Like she just talked about, God and going home. And even when she couldn't leave the house, right, they would come to give her communion, right? And so it's amazing that as I think about it, the majority of women that impacted me probably didn't even know. Like I think I said this when I did, the church thing. Like a lot of the women that probably impacted me didn't realize that their impact came from just how they demonstrated their faith, right? They didn't even realize that just me watching how they moved through situations, right? How they handled things that came their way, right? And the way I knew that there was a covering over them, right? What was a huge impact for me, right? DC Marshall, that's my girl, right? Like just watching how she walks and moves and her faith walk, right? So I would say you, Netta, you, Regina, like just like Regina earlier last year when you were like you got laid off and you just like, right? I know it took you a minute to process it, but the next I was like, wait a minute, right? So just I think for me it has been women who have taken situations in life that I would probably overthink, right? It would take me a minute to get past it, right? Watching how they navigate, right, has been impactful for me.
Yes, that's true. Regina?
I'm trying to think. It's so many women that has impacted my life. With each life lesson, starting with my 6th grade teacher, Miss West, that saw something in me when I was a timid little girl that didn't know. And I had moved. We moved, as many we moved all our life. Well, my dad, we moved so many times. And so I had moved to a new school. So this was a new school year for me in 6th grade. So I didn't know. I was so scared and quiet and shy. And she gave us an assignment. And I did the assignment. And she just raved about me. And she saw something in me. And that was the first like woman that really, really recognized me. Outside my mom, my mom always gave me kudos, and my grandmother. But that was the first woman that really saw me, and that was very impactful. I will always remember Miss West. And going on and like to your story, Netta, last week when you said your teacher, and she just saw me and I wasn't afraid anymore. Like, who else impacted me? That was just I just always remember that moment of just being able to be seen.
That's so that is like so important. Like that is huge, right? Because how many of us people look at us, but you're like, do you see me?
Yeah.
Right. So that is so huge.
And like you said, I don't
what's
even
so
know.
powerful is because it's for every generation, right? Like we say, women to women show, right? New You Nation, we're here for the Gen X, but in all reality, every stage, right? It is people that you want to be seen, right?
And for the for that little scared little girl to be. And she saw the I guess the artsy part of me because I always like poems, and so she gave us a picture, and she asked us to write. That was our assignment, to write about this picture. And so I wrote about the picture, and she took it around, and I still remember the picture. It was a picture of a man, and he had a sailboat or some type of boat, and he was wiping it down. And I wish I would have kept the poem because I got real deep as a little girl into this poem. And I wrote something like he was saying goodbye to his friend and he was wiping. And the way, and she saw the like, and she just said, she told the whole class and just how I, looked real deep, how I really captured the moment of that picture and
Mhm.
took it around to some other teachers and just so proud of me and really, and I to this day still love poetry and I knew I loved it, but I would never tell anyone. But it kind of made me open up and really saw something in me. So
Wow. That I'm just the being seen, right? That is
yeah,
so
that she saw
powerful.
me. Yeah, she saw me, and that just new to everything and scared and new school, didn't know anybody.
But I think that's true for every human being.
Indian.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Doesn't matter their age,
Mhm.
where they're from. Knowing that someone sees your value.
mhm. That's it. She saw me.
And knowing that someone see, because a lot of times, and I will say this for myself, right? Personally, when people would say, I'll be like, they'll say, I'm like, they see something in me that I don't even see in myself, right? And so how important is it for people to see, for you to see something in someone else, right? That gives them the courage or the strength to even begin to believe
Mhm,
that they actually can do the thing that like when I said yeah, and Gina, you probably went through this too, right? When you said yes to collaborating on writing a book. I remember when they first asked me to do this, I said yes, and then like a week later, I was like, why did you say yes? Right? What are you gonna write about, right? But somebody saw something in me that I didn't even see in
mhm,
myself
mhm,
that they would even think to ask me to be a part of a collaboration to write a book, right?
Right.
And if they didn't see something that made them ask me that, and I didn't have sense enough to say yes, or I wasn't in a yes moment because it was that my yes phase, right? I could have passed something by, right? And so I think it's so important, like you said, Netta, no matter what age,
mhm.
but it's so great when we start out seeing our young women, because then they can begin to grow into that and learn how to be seen and seen in a positive light.
Mhm.
Right.
Right?
Yep. And can I just say, I think we said this a couple weeks ago, but today, tomorrow, and the day after, express that to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mhm.
Intentionally look for someone. You don't have to look hard because I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, but just say that. As Theo was saying, the women, and I'm sure all of us can say the women in our lives that had an impact that had no idea that they had an
Mm-hmm.
impact. Why is that? Why can't we tell them, express to them, show them, uplift them, pour into them? A lot of times, the women who pour are looked over.
Yep.
It's not reciprocated because we don't do things to get back, but it sure is nice to receive that compliment or that encouragement, that word of uplifting.
Right.
Mhm.
Like we desire it. Let's be the ones to give it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad you said that, because I was like, that was going to be my thing, right? Like, I challenge anyone that's listening now or who will listen later is to just sit for a moment and think about who has impacted your life, because as you saw when we had to do it, we all were like, wait a minute, there are so many women, right, that we could pull from that we probably never even thought about saying. And that's why, like, I will honestly tell you, I tell my aunts all the time, one just turned 96, the other is 99 and will be 100 in November. Every chance I get, I tell them how much they impact, like just watching them, right, just seeing how they're aging so gracefully, right, see what they've poured into me, right, as their niece, right, to every time I get off the phone with my aunt and she says, I'm proud of you or I love you, right? Like, just so every opportunity. But I'm sure for those of you who are listening, if you took the time to sit down, sit still, just take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and think about the women who have impacted you. And then, like Netta said, tell them. Whether you send them a card, whether you sit down with them and tell them, whether you send them a letter, but tell someone, as they always say, right, give them their flowers now.
Mm-hmm.
It matters. It matters. I'll share this story, and we're getting close to wrap up. But a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine reached out and said, I moved. I would love for you to stop by, see where I am now. And I just told you what bothers me is people tell you they're busy, right? I'm busy. Well, yes, we all are. But guess what? That phone call mattered to me. And it let me know there was a need there.
Yeah.
You just come and see where I am. And so I did that. And y'all, it was beautiful. She created this really nice lunch for us. Everything was the attention to detail was impeccable. I have an allergy, Gina, a garlic allergy. And so that was taken into consideration for everything that was there. I mean, the china, the fine linen, all the stops were taken. And I was like, I can't remember the last time I experienced this type of care and attention. And what she wanted to give was what I needed to receive.
Oh, beautiful.
And so just to thinking about that, something so simple but so meaningful, because I always tell my friends and the people connected to me, wherever you go, whatever you do, make memories. You just don't know what the future holds. Enjoy the moments that you have with the people you're blessed to be with.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so excited about April 27th.
Yes.
No, for real. Like I am like so excited about April 27th because I already know that it's going to be so powerful, right? Like I already know that it's going to be such a powerful, intimate, and if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, on April 27th, Regina, our own Regina, is hosting a retreat for an intimate setting, right? But for women, to just remind them that, one, who they are, but also something that she said earlier is that we see them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, which is so powerful, right? But for me, anytime that we have a women's gathering where women can come together and uplift one another and share, for me is always like I'm always trying to be in a room, right? If I can.
Right.
I just really truly believe that, we can together be so powerful.
Yeah, we can.
Right. But so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about Netta becoming an essential coach. I don't know why I'm so really excited about that. And Gina, like everything, I need you to stop posting food and cakes and stuff on internet. But I'm just excited about this platform, and I'm excited that we all say yes. When we all wanted to say no.
Yes.
Right? Deep down, we did. Like, deep down, I was about
I wanted to say no.
I was like, because I was just told. I don't know why I'm always told what I'm going to do. Right? Like, but yes, I'm excited that we say yes. Right? Because we could have all said, nah, we can't do this. And every other Monday we come on here and we second guess ourselves, right? And we're like, and we have a rich
Conversation.
discussion.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
So
yeah.
I what you said in regards to creating memories. Not to be funny, Theo, but it's about food. It's a little related to food. So, so my dad came into town with my bonus mom, and they were celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary.
Wow,
So I
nice.
was like, so I said, yeah, that was pretty cool. So I said, so Dad, are you gonna come over by me before y'all head back? Because they live in Charlotte now. So he said, yeah, I'm gonna come through. He said, I'm going to church. I'm going to be at church. You're going to church, right? So, like, first of all, if I wasn't, I was going out there, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm going to be there. He said, yeah, well, we're going to be there at such and such the time. And of course, they were there on time. Of course, I wasn't exactly, but I knew where they were going to sit because they always sit where they know that I sit, me and the family when we in there. So I knew they were coming, and I wanted to make it so special. So I was like, you know what? Let me fix them because my dad is a chef. He could cook. So
Mm.
every time we go down south, whether it's me or my children or anybody, he's always in the kitchen cooking. Cook like he did that as a part of business, his
Mm.
profession. Like so. Anyway, I said I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it something real nice. So I had, you get excited when you listen, y'all. When you doing something for people you love,
Mm-hmm.
don't half step it.
Mm-hmm.
Put all of your love into it. So I said, well, what I'm gonna fix? So I started talking to my coworkers about it a couple of weeks before they came up. I'm like, what am I gonna fix? Okay, I'm gonna bake some chicken, but that's not enough. Okay, I'm gonna do some short ribs. I looked at Patty LaBelle's recipe and I augmented it a little bit because I had made the short ribs before. I said, let me try, add a little something. So I said, okay. So I said, all right, I gotta have some collard greens. You gotta have some vegetables, right? So I said, I'm gonna do some mac and cheese and some candied yams and,
Mm.
some cornbread and some chocolate cake. So when I tell it's some red rice, right? I mean from scratch red rice, okay?
Oh
Homemade.
my God.
Not
I haven't
not
had some scratch red rice in a
not
minute.
yeah, not the Goya put the pack on there
Oh,
turn.
I
No, I
know,
mean
man. The
I mean, when
oh,
you saute the celery and the peppers and the onions, and you get that in that pot. It's just I ain't really using pork too much. I cut up some turkey kielbasa and saute that down some olive oil. Y'all already know. So anyway, I had so much joy in my heart to do it. When they ate and we all ate, and then a couple of my kids came through. My granddaughter came over. It was like when I tell you they enjoyed themselves because they got treated well. Like anytime you go down, they treat anybody well. They are beautiful. Um, my my bonus mom is beautiful people, like beautiful, and I felt proud to be able to have them come to my house, and it wasn't the size of the house; it was the size of the love that was put in
Right.
there,
Yes.
yes.
right? And so they had so much fun. They enjoyed everything. They enjoyed being around their grandchildren, and then one of their great grands came through. It was just so much fun. I was whooped, y'all. Let me tell you, I was ready to go to sleep, but it was so great to create an experience for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't ask for it. Didn't have to be fancy. It had to be done with love. And
Mm-hmm.
when I tell you that they enjoy everything. Okay, the only thing my dad couldn't have the greens because he can't the vitamin K. So
Mm.
and dark leafy greens have a high percentage of vitamin K.
Mm-hmm.
And but he everything else. He said this is good. He said, whose recipe is this? I said, and my cousin Megan, um she created a book. She wrote a book, Gullah Geechee Cooking, and I used the red rice recipe from that. But anywho, the point is, I was so focused on making it a beautiful experience that it didn't matter what it took. I wanted to show them just the way they show us every time we go down there. We stay. We don't have to stay in no hotel. They got a big old house. I mean, the love that they give us, I wanted to give them some of that, and
Mm-hmm.
it made my heart feel so good. Not only did I get to have them come over and stuff, but then children came, and, you
Mhm.
know, and my husband was there talking and entertaining and just all of that togetherness. And that was what? Because the thought was to do something with love, to say thank you, just, you know,
Mhm.
having that family come together. So like Netta says, sometimes it's not the food per se, but it's what's behind that,
Mhm.
right? It was the gathering, it's the memories we created. We listened to my dad tell stories about stuff I never heard about before.
Mhm.
And you know, so just having that time. So those memories I'll never forget.
Right.
So I get to treasure that. My children get to treasure that. We took photos together to have that, capture
Mhm.
those memories. So we gotta give our people, our elders, our ladies in our lives their flowers while they're living, while they can appreciate it, while they can smell it and know what flower we're giving them.
Mhm.
So while we're of a certain age, we have people in our lives that are older and some younger ones. There's a lot of
Mhm.
young women I'm super proud of, and I love to tell them that. My nieces and stuff like that, I love to tell them how proud I am they become women and doing their own thing. We have to really encourage each other and create the memories that make a difference. So that's what I want to say. Don't be afraid to create the memory to make a difference. It'll be something that you cherish and the people in your lives will always remember.
All right, and so we will talk about where your dad, the cook, lives in Charlotte offline.
He's retired. He's retired. He's
That's
retired.
all right. He's still cooking at home.
He sure does it. He don't mind. He don't mind showing off. You talk about maybe I get a little of that from him, but he always tell me, "Girl, you don't cook a lot." Like, okay, Dad. So you cook what now? What you got on this plate?
So yeah, so that was a great story. I mean, as always, right? The hour went quickly.
Yeah.
And so, if you tuned in tonight, this was the Women to Women show on the New You Nation Network. And we are excited that you are here. And we hope you come back in 2 weeks. So, we're here every other Monday at 8 p.m. And we are just women having ordinary conversations, which end up being extraordinary, right? What we think is ordinary usually ends up being a powerful conversation. So thank you for joining us tonight. Any of you ladies have any last words before we sign off for the evening?
Rita summed it up with just create memories that you have the
Mhm.
pleasure and the blessing to be with. Just continue to do that.
Yeah. And just a reminder to take some time to sit back and think about the women who have impacted you in your life and tell them how much they have fed into you. Give them their flowers while they are here. And with that, we're going to say what we normally sign off when we are signing off, which is
Truth plus transparency, evil
Equals.
healing.
Have a good night.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.